devoting my life to supporting other people gives me that fulfillment.
Welcome to Island Influencers, where we share stories of successful business owners, experienced professionals, entrepreneurs and community leaders based or with influence in the Isle of Man. This podcast is brought to you by Thornton Chartered Financial Planners, because great financial planning has the power to change your life. Now here's your host, Chartered Financial Planner Sharon Sutton.
Welcome to this week's episode of Island Influencers. My guest this week is Stefanie Kerwin, who's a naturopath, medical herbalist and homeopath. Stefanie has over 14 years of experience as a naturopathic clinician, both in Australia, that's Brisbane, and Great Britain, and she's attracted many clients worldwide. With a particular interest in mental health, female health and complex conditions, Stefanie focuses on bringing traditional wisdom and evidence-based medicine together. She uses proven effective prescribing to help her clients meet and manage their health needs. Stefanie has also a particular interest in getting back to basics, strongly advocating that stress management, food as medicine, safe and effective detoxification, and obtaining and maintaining an optimal pH balance is fundamental to health. She loves inspiring her clients to live healthier and more joyful lives. Stefanie is the creator and operator of two busy natural health businesses, Aurora Wellness, which she co-owns with her husband, Paul Cohen, who's an acupuncturist, and 18-Day Cleanse. Her 3-day naturopathic cleanse programs, including the more recent 18-Day Cleanse, have benefited thousands of people around the world. These programs harness all the basic naturopathic principles of cleansing techniques, lifestyle choices, dietary guidance, self-care, and include world-class naturopathic medicines to support safe and effective detoxification and rebalance a stressed system. Well, who couldn't do with some of that? Stefanie also provides mentorship to nutritionists and medicinal herbalists throughout the UK. I hope you enjoyed this week's conversation with Stefanie Kerwin in episode 44 of Island Influencers. Stefanie Kerwin, welcome to this week's episode as my guest on Island Influencers. It's great to finally meet you. We've had a couple of goes at this, haven't we? And for one thing and another, it's taken to today to have a recording. So it's great to actually finally meet, and welcome to Island Influencers.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. Absolutely delighted to be invited to talk. And what an amazing thing that you're doing for the Isle of Man to give people a real idea on who lives here.
Thank you. We just it's funny that the way things develop, and I mean the whole idea, the concept of the podcast is to try and build confidence and trust in the Isle of Man community. But because of our relative success in lockdown coming out last year, this program appears to be used as to check us out and the sort of people who actually live here. So this is great. So here are you. Yeah, Steph, it's all about you today. Can I call you Steph? Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let's hear all about you, how you've got to providing this amazing service, this business that you run. What's your pathway to being you today, being on the Isle of Man and operating your businesses?
That always helps, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. That's a bit of a... That's helpful.
I am Manx, lived here most of my adult life and worked in finance. I was a financial advisor, actually, which is quite fitting to your services. Yes. So I was a financial advisor, but I was born with quite a lot of health issues to do with my bladder and my kidney, and I had chronic infections. I was on medication from being very young every day. Gosh. And then things just started getting worse in my mid-20s, and it started getting a bit out of control, and I had looking at diet and nutrition. I saw some of the natural therapists that really helped me with everything from tinnitus to irritable bowel syndrome to stress and low mood. Gosh. And I could see how it supported me and helped me. And I'd been told when I was 11 that a pregnancy would be very difficult, if at all achievable, due to my kidney health. So suddenly I saw the benefits of seeing different natural therapists, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, maybe I can, have a look at that. So my interest of yoga and meditation and nutrition sort of escalated, and I was sat in my little cottage in Kirkmichael one day, and I thought, I don't want to just do a diploma. No offense to people that do diplomas, they're very good, but I wanted to do something quite high quality. And I wanted to really, get a good health science qualification. So I Googled degrees in natural medicine, not knowing what would come up, and popped up the Australian College of Natural Medicine offered a Bachelor of Health Science in naturopathy. And my first question was, well, what's naturopathy? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And I read the syllabus, and it was like somebody had designed a course just for me, on
Gosh,
nutrition.
So what age were you at when you looked into this sort of thing? Was that
27.
so you decided you'd gone and did you go to school here? Did you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and you became a financial advisor when you left school, or did you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I left school at 16, worked in a couple of different places, including hotels, and then got into finance, and worked as a secretary for a financial advisor company, and thought I saw all the men doing it, and I thought I can do that. So I went to night school and studied.
Good on you. Well done. Who did you study with? Who was your tutor when you did your?
Remember that? Oh my goodness, that's like 20 years ago.
Was it Bill? Was it a guy called Bill Wipers? Was it him?
I can't remember, but it was. I'm really sorry, but it was high. It was night school, and I went.
Yeah. I think we all did it. Yeah, a long time ago. Right. God.
So that was then. So I thought I can do that. So I've always had that I can do that sort of attitude. So looked into natural medicine around 27, and then thought, right, I'm going to sell my house, and the only place I could do it was Australia or America. And no offense to Americans, I personally didn't want to live there, and the course was a lot more expensive.
Yes. So
I trotted to Brisbane thinking I'll do my 4-year degree, maybe travel around for a year, and then I'll come home.
Wow.
And then
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you weren't married, or you weren't married at that point. You hadn't met your significant. You hadn't met Paul at that point, and no. I
met my significant other on the first day of uni. Yeah. In Australia.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, meant to be or what? Yeah, lovely. So you literally sold up and lock stop and went out to Australia to do your degree. Yeah, wow, that's a leap of faith, isn't it?
It was a calling for sure, and there was no other way of doing it. I couldn't afford to keep the house and rent it out, so it was like. But I never left because I was unhappy, Sharon. I think that's people say to me, "Why did you come back?" And I always start with, "Well, I never left because I was unhappy. I loved living here. I just knew that I wanted a change for my own health, and also I wanted a life experience. You know, the Isle of Man's wonderful, but I personally didn't want to live here my whole life. I wanted to experience another culture, another way. So it was I'm really happy I've done that. But happy,
brilliant. Oh, fantastic! So what happened in Brisbane? You went to university and you got your degree.
I got my degree. I ended up getting a degree. I did end up falling in love with homeopathy while I was there as well. So I ended up studying an advanced diploma in homeopathy too. Yeah. And also studied massage, thinking I need a way to want to start treating people. So by the second year of studying, me and my husband had both done our massage qualifications, and we started massaging, which was fantastic. Yeah. So as we kept qualifying, we just kept upping our services that were available to our patients, and we hit the ground running really because we already had quite a thriving business. First of all, do massage, and then we added in flower essences, and then Paula was able to add in some acupuncture, and then we added in some nutrition and herbal medicine, and we just built it up like that.
That's great. Oh, that's superb. It sounds like a wonderful way to build a business. And so what age were you by the time you started on that path? And I started when I was 28. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was 5 years study. At what point did you decide that you would move back here? What was the? I know you didn't leave because you didn't like living here. You've already said that. But what brought you back? What was the key for you? I never felt like Australia was my home. And as much as I've met lifelong friends and absolutely loved the experience there, it never felt like home. And I'm in a very close family, and my brother passed away. And after my brother passed away, to be honest, I just wanted to come home. And I also
I'm so sorry. It's okay, thank you. But I also had significant health issues for quite a few years as well. Whilst I did get better, I also had a huge setback with my health, all stemming from what I was born with, and the stress of losing my brother at the same time as having a young baby triggered quite a shopping list of diseases. I actually spent 3 years in bed with very severe chronic fatigue, lupus, a very serious adrenal gland disease, fibromyalgia, and I was told I was totally and permanently disabled and that I would never get out of bed again. And and so I've managed to overcome those things. And I'll say so. You look great to me. So for the benefit of our listeners, I'm talking to Stefanie, and we're on Zoom, so I can see her, but you won't be able to. Yeah, you're in your treatment room.
almost running around in the fantastic. Yes, so you're a living example of your work.
Absolutely. I'm the health. My doctors laughed and say, you're the healthiest sick person that we know, Steph. I've still got, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I have an adrenal gland disease. But what I do have is a very strong will and absolute devotion to my health and to supporting other people as well. And
yes,
I think when we have a purpose, when we're sort of grounded in what we want to offer the world, it really helps us in how we can be better and how, it gives us a real why, why are we doing what we're doing? And, to talk to my patients and see the benefits, that gives me such a strong reason why. And I was so keen to get back to work after I'd been sick for a few years and nothing was going to stop me.
So you came back to the island. What year did you come back?
Came back middle of 2017. So I've been back about 3.5 years.
Yeah. Okay. But you still run the practices in both Australia and here. So I guess it's more of the consultancy.
That's right. So mostly in the Isle of Man and UK. However, I've had an international clientele for a number of years and, mostly Australia. But now with all this technology, it's amazing that we can work anywhere in the world. So
can't we just?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So yes, I do have clients all over the world, I'm very blessed to be able to say that because it's such a lovely way to connect like we can do now. Yeah,
no, indeed. And I think you were saying something that you have some sort of way in which you keep in touch with your clients' newsletters and podcasts yourself. Is that right?
Yes, so I don't do podcasts. I often get interviewed, but I haven't had the time to start my own one up. So you've inspired me, Sharon. Thank you. But yeah, we do newsletters and have very active Facebook page as well under Aurora Wellness and 18-day cleanse. And then once people have sort of done, especially one of my cleanses, then they have a group and that's daily active. All the people in there sort of inspiring each other on what to eat and how to look after themselves. So no, it's fantastic. We're very lucky.
Oh, brilliant! And despite being told that you couldn't have a baby as well, so you mentioned you've got a child. How old is he? Yeah, how old is he or she now?
He's 10, and you might be able to hear him drumming because with the homeschool, and he's actually drumming on his drumming lesson right now.
Yeah, I don't think they've got that in schools, to be quite honest with you. The school won't want a drumming lesson, will they? Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Just a positive move. It's been to come back. It's, whilst we do miss Australia very much so, especially in the winter when the weather's rubbish here. But you can adapt. We bought a sauna.
We have a sauna, but our house had a sauna when we moved in. It's brilliant, isn't it? Isn't it great to have a sauna? Yeah. Let's move on to the questions I ask all of our guests. If you don't mind me asking, primarily I do ask this when I meet people in my role as a financial planner. What's your earliest memory of money, Stefanie?
Oh, what a great question. What I'm thinking of is having been giving francs when we went camping in France.
Wow.
And my dad giving me a couple of francs, and every day we were allowed, and we could say in French, "de pommes frites, s'il vous plaît."
Well, that's the language skills you need when you're in France. Let's face it.
I remember that, and then really that's the sort of first time I remember handling money was having those French francs, and then I remember when the interest rates went up to about 15 or so %, and we'd upgraded from our very small house into a much bigger house, and then soon after that the interest rates went up, and I remember it being really, really tough for my family, and I remember money being quite a big conversation often. Yeah. And mum even doing without like bin bags. She just did without things, like we never bought clothes. And yeah, it was, don't get me wrong, we didn't go hungry.
And how does that translate into your own attitudes and beliefs today? Does that impact on any decisions that you make?
I am ridiculously abundant in my ways of thinking, including with money. Some people would look at my bank account and think that I was not doing that well, but actually I've always never really worried about money. And that's why, because I saw my parents worrying about money, and maybe at some point, maybe subconsciously, I made a decision that I never would. And I talked to my son about money too, and I've heard my mum saying, "Oh no, don't." And sometimes I'll tell her, if I've had a really good month or something, and she'll say, "Oh no, it's okay. You don't have to talk about it." Well, I'm like, I'm fine talking about money. I love money. It's not the main reason that I do what I do, but money is, it is so important. And Yeah, without a doubt. I love talking about money. I talk to my son about money all the time. I share with him things that I know some people might not do, but I want him to feel abundant, and
I think that's a great thing to do. I do that with mine. Yeah, I think it's important to have a comfort and a knowledge around it and a capability most importantly. This is probably coming from your financial advisor training. What do you reckon?
Maybe. I think if you're well planned, if you've planned well, and actually, if I can share something very personal, I thank goodness that I did have the planning that I did, because when I was sick, I had income protection. So being a financial advisor set me up for life, even though I'm not an IFA anymore. I possibly could have invested a bit more than I have done and been a bit more set up that way. But the protection side of it was very much covered. And then when I became very ill, I actually had what was called I was paid out for being totally and permanently disabled, which is called TPD.
Yeah.
Now, because I was in Australia, unfortunately, I didn't get anywhere near what I should have done because of tax. However, at least it gave me a bit of a lump sum, and I never had to worry about finances while I was sick, which was, I can't imagine being that ill and then having to worry about money. But because I had income protection, that was taken away. And it also enabled me to access treatment, like integrative medicine treatment through private doctors that I would not have been able to. And I think without that, I might not have got well, it's very money's, I believe so much in what you do and providing protection. I remember when I was a financial advisor, I had some really awful experiences of women with kids walking in and just handing their house keys over, saying their husband had died. They had no house and life insurance and they couldn't afford to live there anymore, and they couldn't afford to pay their mortgage. And I remember those things. So I always made sure that I had, the protection that I needed. And I could have been more protected, we all can, but it certainly served me and my family really well. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stefanie, for sharing that. Of all the things you've done throughout your life so far, so what has given you the most fulfillment, would you say?
I feel very torn because being a mother fulfills me in so many ways, but it doesn't fully fulfill me either, that it wouldn't be enough just as that. So being a mother has certainly been a life goal because of being told when I was 11 that I might not be able to have children. So then to achieve that and get that goal and then experience that, really intense love that I have with my son is hugely fulfilling on many, many levels. But really, I think devoting my life to supporting other people gives me that fulfillment very much so. And now it's like, well, that's fulfilled. What's next? So I'm already looking at the next thing on how I can. So next we're planting trees. We've got a goal to plant 100,000 trees this decade as a business. So it's how our business serving others can then serve everybody. And that's the goal is.
That's great. You must send me details of that. That's be great to see if our listeners can get involved in some way. That would be.
Thank you.
That sounds great. Yeah.
So as a business supporting others, we want to then support everybody. And we believe that planting trees supports every living being on earth. So it's just keep stepping up, haven't you? We've got to keep
totally. Stefanie, that's inspiring. Thank you. So for any aspiring or existing business owners for that matter, or entrepreneurs, what would be your number one business tip?
Look after yourself. Very, very well. Have boundaries. Make sure that you have regular self-care, regular time where you do not work, because especially entrepreneurs and especially I love technology. I also hate it just as much. I've got this real love-hate relationship with it, and it's wonderful that I can go out in the camper van on a work day with my son, and he can be playing around. And when I'm popping on and doing a few calls, it gives me a lot of freedom. But equally, you've got to have that boundary in what is work and what isn't work, and make sure that we're not just dribbled into work. It's like our lives become work a lot of the time. So having really having very meticulous boundaries and knowing that you don't need to be good at everything. This is a really big mistake that I see in my colleagues and in other entrepreneurs. They really think that they have to be good at their social media, their web stuff, their marketing, their whatever it is. And we don't. I've got a VA, virtual assistant. She's absolutely fantastic. I outsource so much. So be a good outsourcer would probably be my number one tip.
And did you ever have any tech-free days? You say about being cut off. Do you ever sort of take the move to just say, right, okay, this is Saturday or something, no tech, I'm going to take the tech away?
I'm really bad at that. I mean, we all are, aren't we? Especially at the moment.
I'm glad you said that. My sister is big for that. I can't do it. I'm glad you can't either.
We do have tech-free times, definitely. Yeah. But the way that life is at the moment, people not well or in hospital, or it's almost like it's hard to turn your phone off right now. But we do need that. And I make sure, Matt, that I've got large periods of time in the evening and night time that I do just turn my phone off. I'm not available 24/7. But yes, yesterday we had a lovely tech-free day as a family, actually. And it was just delightful. We actually sorted out all our clothes. We played Kaplunk in bed, with my son, and he made me like 3 cups of tea in bed, and it was great, and we connected. And otherwise he's playing Fortnite, talking to his mates, I'm on Facebook, and it's disconnection, isn't it? So yes, very important to unplug.
Okay.
Sometimes I need to unplug more.
I think especially in this whole working from home environment, it's very easy, isn't it, to do too much and stay connected too much and just look at email just because you can.
We're all craving connection at the moment, aren't we? I mean,
for sure.
I spent any time with my parents for a month. My son hasn't seen another child for a month. So when we crave connection, it's and because we need that dopamine hit, because that's what technology does. Every time we get a message or a like or a share or a email, actually what happens is there's certain brain waves in our brain that light up and go bing. And that gives us a hormone called, or neurotransmitter called dopamine. And at the moment, we're all a bit flat.
Yeah.
Neurotransmitters. So we look for the things that
anything for a dopamine hit. What about is it serotonin the better one? Is serotonin the better one you're trying to create?
No, there's no better one. Dopamine is really important. Dopamine's more for sort of reward-centered addiction as well. So when it's low, we can become very apathetic. Serotonin's more commonly known because of they're both interrelation with mood. So no, definitely no more important than the other. We need them all.
Yes. No cortisol. No cortisol.
Well, we need cortisol. So our stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. That we need cortisol. If we don't have any, we won't get out of bed in the morning. But we need it to be in check.
So tell me, what do you do? I mean, to relax, how do you keep your life in balance?
Well, this is a constant thing, isn't it? I actually really recommend, and this is what I do a lot, I put my hands on my body, whether it be my heart or my belly or wherever I'm feeling it, and I take a few deep breaths and I say, what do you need right now? And the answer comes instantly. So it might be going to putting breakfast in a takeaway box and going down the beach with my son, even if the rain's, we can sit in the car and my husband, and Friday morning we did that and sat and just watched the waves coming in on Laxey Beach. Time in nature is, for me, a great way to relax. That is like my ultimate. And just stopping and touching your body and going, are you okay? What do I need? And it's funny, when we just cut off and we ask ourselves that question, the answer always comes, always, instantly. We always know, I need a hug.
Sounds like a form of mindfulness. Is that what you would call it? Or
absolutely. Just being in tune with our body, being embodied, actually. Because what happens is we get busy and then we look for distractions, or we look for something to sort of take the pain away.
What do I need?
But if we just stop and really say, what do I need? I need to cry. I need to get out of here. I need to go for a walk. I need to go and eat, have a cup of tea. Whatever you need, it's just being in tune with that, isn't it?
Yeah, good answer. So tell me, what do you think are the best things about living in the Isle of Man?
Living close to my family, very much so. I've got a lovely family and an extended family as well. I've got lifelong friends that I have a lovely relationship with, and that's lovely. Seeing my friends' children grow up is really special. But for people moving here that don't have those connections, the other things that are grossly important to me is the diversity of the Isle of Man. I mean, I lived in one of the biggest, I think Australia is the biggest island in the world. I lived in the biggest island in the world.
That or Greenland,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Depends who's measuring.
I've come back to one of the smallest islands in the world, very small island in the world.
Yeah.
And what I love is the diversity. I love that I can be, on the sand beaches of the west coast of the Isle of Man 1 minute, and then I can be in an ancient town with castles in Castletown sort of 20 minutes, half an hour later. I love the diversity of all the glens and, all the areas that we can to go outside. I think that's really a big point. And this is going to sound maybe a bit crazy, but if you're an entrepreneur dealing with tax departments, government departments, trying to get help, trying to get support, starting up your own business or moving your self-employed business to another country, the Isle of Man is absolutely fantastic. You literally phone up the government department, speak to somebody. They'll either help you, they'll transfer you through to somebody. You can actually speak to a human being in less than 5 minutes. You don't have to be online phoning up at 8 a.m. like we did with the Australian tax office, and then still be holding at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Literally, if you hadn't have already been cut off 25 times by then. Yeah. In the Isle of Man, the support is incredible. I mean, they've got micro business finance scheme, there's government grants, there's business grants. You can get hold of people of power very easily. You can literally pick up the phone and phone your MHK, who will try to support you. And, well, they will support you. You might not get exactly the result that you're after, but you can speak to somebody.
You can.
You can sort your tax affairs out. People that are friendly, that actually want
our tax office are great, aren't they? We ring them up all the time for clients. It's brilliant. We've got a really good relationship with the tax office, and they're a superb bunch of professionals that are so helpful.
The community spirit is fantastic as well. I mean, we've got like Isle of Man Facebook pages, haven't we? Like advice and all that. There's a few different ones, but if you need anything, you just ask and you get it. Like people are just so kind and giving and keen to support each other generally. I've seen people move to the Isle of Man and post, "Hi, I've moved here. I'm just looking at advice for schools or this or whatever it is," and the advice, it's just bang,
But a lot of community support, generally. As you say. Yeah. So what would you say the main challenges the Isle of Man faces, other than the dodgy internet where you live?
Well, at the moment, you can't go anywhere. That's hard.
Yeah, sure. But what are our challenges now and what are they going to be? That's the thing, isn't it? Those are the things to address.
I think healthcare is a challenge, being really honest. Whilst we do have some excellent healthcare here, and this is not a dig at anybody, it is just a case that we have very limited capacity on what we can treat here, because that's just the nature of living in a small island. We have a relatively small hospital's fantastic and it does loads of really good things, don't get me wrong, but if you need specialist care, I mean, the Isle of Man, fantastic, they fly you over. My husband actually had needed heart surgery, and I mean, he was air ambulanced over. He was in Liverpool for 2 months. The Isle of Man, really, there's a lot of funding available for our health. But if you've got niggling health issues, or you just need a test, that can, we've got quite limited services. So usually people that have private health insurance, they can get across to the UK very easily, get access to private services. But at the moment, obviously, that's not happening due to COVID. So that would probably be one of my worries of the limitations.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an interesting point you raised. So, I mean, solutions and opportunities in your sector, what can you see as would be a way that maybe could just be expanded with a bit of thought, a few ideas?
Well, that's a massive conversation, but I feel like if there's any private doctors listening that want to move to the Isle of Man, there is so much need for private health care from a sort of even a GP level. Don't get me wrong, the GPs are great, but I think some people just want a bit more. They want that sort of that. They want a bit more investigation, and I think that's valid. Or they don't want to wait. They don't just want to try something and see how it goes. People are busy, or they're, senior, they've got really good jobs and they don't want to be messing around seeing, well, is it this or is it that? Let's just see, which is often and must be for a public health system. There's no other way to do it, because of fund, it's not affordable to sort of go all in and let's just do everything and see what it is. But
no, exactly.
For a lot of people, they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait. Like me, I'm one of those people. I never want to wait. I want everything done straight away.
But if you're self-employed, your health is your business, isn't it? And if you can't work, you don't get paid. So it's massively important to.
Yeah. So what we are doing is this is the first time I've talked about this on anywhere, but we're about to launch a collaboration of natural health professionals of the Isle of Man called Manx Health.
Brilliant.
And this is going to start off as what's available complimentary. So what is available free of charge, from everything from mindfulness, coaching. I'm offering free consultations for anybody wishing to support their immune system or that have COVID. I'm actually doing that free of charge.
Gosh. Yeah.
We've got stress management, mental health support,
So we'll put everything in the show notes. So yes, that would be great to have details on that. I mean, one of the earlier podcast episodes I did was with Sarah Gartland of Fulham, which is where Paul he works out of. It sounds like a personal trainer. It's where he operates from, isn't it? Is Fulham. So yeah. So are you collaborating with some of the practitioners there, or is it sort of more ecumenical? Islandwide, right? Interesting.
So Sarah's fantastic. Love Sarah Gartland, great osteopath. And we'll be looking at Islandwide, but looking at really what services, and some of these services are already available, but we're looking to pull it in so there's sort of one central place that we can advertise. Look, what support do you need? Some people just might need some advice on, nutrition or how to build their immune system. Other people might be going through a rough time emotionally or suffering anxiety, so they're looking for more options there. Other people might be looking to get fit. And really what we're trying to do as well is encourage the government to actually make more of a stance on public's health, because what we're not hearing a lot of at the moment is how to support immunity, how to, really enhance our health. What we're hearing a lot about is vaccination and isolation. And what we're not hearing about is a really good platform of fitness. I haven't seen...
You hear a lot of fears, don't you, about long COVID? And I suppose my perception of long COVID would be, please correct me if my perception is wrong, but it would be like ME or something. It's just a long-term virus effect on a body to do with its imbalance in its immune system. Would that be about right? Certainly, yes. There's some aspects to that. So post-viral fatigue is nothing new to natural therapists. I've been treating post-viral fatigue for 15 years. It's very common that people get a virus or a flu or something, and they struggle to recover. I think at the moment it does seem like COVID is there's a higher incidence of that in COVID than there is, but maybe it's just because more people are getting sick, and so we're seeing more post-viral fatigue. But post-viral fatigue is certainly nothing new. It's been around for a very long time, and even some of the things you mentioned, like ME, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, they have a huge viral load. So there's my fibromyalgia and ME was definitely caused by a virus. And I think so it does happen. So having a strong immune system at the moment is absolutely imperative. Yeah. And whilst a lot of people are choosing to have the vaccine, which is great for them and great hopefully for our society, what we also need to add into that strategy is how to promote health, at the same time alongside, because doing one without the other is really, I believe, completely ineffective. I agree with you.
I did do some lobbying to government and write a lot of letters last year asking that everybody in an old people's home and everybody that was vulnerable actually had their vitamin D levels checked. In all the cases of long COVID that I've seen, which is not a lot, we're talking maybe 25 cases. It is not, I'm not an expert, this is just in my little clinic. But what I'm seeing is that all the vitamin D, all the people, every single person I have treated personally for long COVID has had bottomed out vitamin D, extremely low levels of vitamin D, sometimes more than 3 times lower than what the NHS say. And we go, we would see optimal being much higher than that anyway. So we must be checking people's vitamin D status. We must be encouraging health. We must be encouraging healthy microbiome and abundant fruit and vegetables. We must be encouraging exercise and good mental health. And I'd love to see our Chief Minister with his tracksuit on saying, right, Isle of Man, let's get fit and let's do it together. And that could be the most fantastic PR campaign at the moment, and that's not what we're seeing, which is very, very sad. So we're trying to look to fill that gap.
Yeah, let's imagine what we could do. Howard's workout on Manx TV, whatever it is these days.
Just seeing him getting fit and David Ashford, they're very busy and I appreciate that.
They are,
We're all busy.
Days or something.
Yes, exactly. But if they're not finding time for their health, then that's not encouraging other people to find time for their health.
No. So they need to stand on the podium in the tracksuit. That'd be a start, wouldn't it?
It really would, actually. Yeah, or a picture, on Facebook of out walking or keeping fit, or come on, Isle of Man, let's get fit. What a great slogan for come on, Isle of Man, let's get fit. It's really helped people, I think. I think it would really encourage and inspire people to really sort this out. Yeah.
Just moving to the final few questions that we ask. So we've covered what you've got planned next and the longer term, which is really exciting. So, are there any books that you've read recently that you'd recommend to our listeners as a source of inspiration or self-development or philosophy or comfort or just a good read?
I'm actually doing Phil Quirk, who's a coach. I'm actually doing his. He's doing a 6-week group coaching session at the moment, and so I've actually been reading his book every day. He's a coach and he studies philosophy, so that's been my sort of read. But I'm not actually a very avid reader. I prefer listening, and I'm just finding the name now of a really good book that I've just started listening to.
Oh, so you're on Audible. You listen to Audible. Yeah, it's
very Audible. There's a book called Say What You Mean, a mindful approach to nonviolent communication and how to find your voice and speak your truth and listen deeply. And I think any enhances of communication has to be a good thing. So
totally.
Yeah, I'm also reading, a colleague of mine has just How to Fix Your Hormones. So I'm actually reading that too.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I've just finished a coaching course, funny enough, called Know Thyself. And that's all about, it's been life-changing, I have to say. You know, words make chemicals, and the way that we speak to each other, the communication, and it's unbelievable, isn't it?
It certainly is.
What are you making up about yourself?
Well, that's probably one of my favourite sayings of all time is don't believe everything you think.
Yeah, just because you think it happened, it doesn't necessarily mean it did. Yeah.
Absolutely. Don't believe everything you think. Yeah.
So what would be your favourite quote, Stefanie?
Well, that'd be one of them. Don't believe everything you think. Tradeler in Manx means time enough, and
tomorrow will do.
Time enough. Well, and also not just about tomorrow will do, everything has its time. So for me, Tradeler has a much bigger meaning, because rather than it being, oh, don't worry, I don't need to do that till tomorrow, like time enough, I feel like it's like everything has its time. So time enough, there's time to grieve, there's time to be joyful, there's time to rest, there's time to put energy into projects, there's also time to sit back a little bit. When I've been an entrepreneur, I've always got a million ideas going around in my mind all the time, and I often think Tradeler, I don't have to build it tomorrow. You can put a million seeds out, but really it's good to stay a bit focused on planting your garden out before you start planting the forest,
Yeah. No, indeed. That's very wise.
There's time for everything. Yeah.
Very wise. So where can people go to learn more about you and the work that you're doing and the organisations, your charities and causes? Because we'll stick them in our show notes for the benefit of our listeners. But if you just want to say what they are.
Thank you. So we support 2 tree planting foundations or organisations. One is Manx Woodland Trust, who are planting an incredible amount of trees on the Isle of Man. And then the other one is called Tree Sisters, which is an amazing international organisation of tree planting. They're planting forests all over the world. They've planted millions and millions of trees. So they're the 2 things that we support, as well as our local community, obviously with Manx Health. That's going to grow as well. That's so we'll be putting a lot of support into Manx Health over the coming weeks, months and years, I'm sure. And to find me, I'm very active on Facebook. That's my only sort of social media platform. So we have Aurora Wellness, and then we have the 18-day cleanse. And then there's a webpage, just Aurora Wellness and 18-day cleanse as well. But they're my sort of main ways. I try and don't be on every platform. Sometimes you're best to do one really well and not spread yourself too thin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Not unless you're going to outsource that as well. So.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you so much, Stefanie, for your help in this project. It's been absolutely brilliant talking to you today. I've really enjoyed getting to meet you and find out all about you. So thank you.
Well, I feel really inspired by you too, and I'm really grateful it's lovely to be chatted. And some of those questions you've asked me have really provoked some thought, especially about money and stuff. So I'm really going to think about that. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Island Influencers from Thornton Chartered Financial Planners. To find out more and for useful links, visit thorntonfs.com/podcasts.